Picture this, a world where military personnel go unpaid, travel is delayed, and federal agencies are thrown into chaos. Welcome to the potential reality of a government shutdown. A funding crisis is unfolding in Congress, with an imminent threat of the government pulling its shutters down. The conflict is not just across the aisle, but within the Republican Party itself. Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, is grappling with the uphill task of rallying his party members to agree on a solution. He proposed a short-term continuing resolution, a band-aid fix, if you will, to keep the government's heart beating through October 31st. But this resolution was yanked before it could be put to vote. The reason? A stark lack of party support. This resolution wasn't a simple one. It came with strings attached. An 8% cut to discretionary spending and bolstered border protections. But it seems the party is not ready to swallow this bitter pill. Further adding to McCarthy's woes is his failed attempt to pass his party's military spending bill. All these internal disagreements are not just causing a rift within the party, but also amplifying the chances of a government shutdown. The White House has sounded the alarm bell, warning of the repercussions of such a shutdown. Imagine a scenario where military personnel have to work without pay, travel plans are thrown into disarray, and federal agencies are scrambling to implement contingency plans. This is a reality we could be staring at if Congress fails to reach an agreement. As the clock ticks down, the question remains, can a shutdown be averted, or are we hurtling towards a fiscal cliff? The threat of a government shutdown is not new to the American political landscape. Indeed, let's rewind a few years to the 2018 to 2019 government shutdown, which still holds the record as the longest in U.S. history, running for a staggering 35 days. This shutdown had a significant impact on the nation's GDP growth, casting a long shadow over the economy. During this period, various government operations came to a standstill. Federal employees were furloughed, and key programs were put at risk. The ripple effects were felt far and wide, from the pockets of federal workers to the broader economy. The GDP growth was stunted, and the nation's confidence was shaken. Fast forward to the present day, we find ourselves on the brink of another potential shutdown. The clock is ticking, and the stakes are high. As we compare the current situation to the previous one, there are striking similarities, but also critical differences. Just like the previous time, disagreements over funding and policy priorities are at the heart of the issue. However, the political climate has evolved, further complicating the scenario. A global pandemic, border crises, and a divided Congress are now part of the equation, adding layers of complexity to an already intricate problem. The potential for another shutdown looms large, but it's essential to remember that these are not identical situations. The context has changed, the players have changed, and so have the underlying issues. It's not just a rerun of the 2018 to 2019 shutdown. It's a new challenge that requires fresh solutions. History has shown us the potential fallout of a shutdown, but with every crisis comes an opportunity for resolution. As the sand slips through the hourglass, controversial proposals are on the table. In the midst of this impending shutdown, a short-term resolution has been proposed, stirring the pot of political discourse. This proposition includes an 8% cut to discretionary spending, a move that has sparked considerable debate among lawmakers. The discretionary budget, which covers everything from education and housing to defense and environmental protection, plays a pivotal role in the operation of our government. A cut of this magnitude could have wide-ranging implications, making its acceptance a contentious issue. But the controversy doesn't stop there. This proposed resolution also calls for increased border protections, a topic that has always been a hotbed of political debate. The question of how best to secure our borders and manage immigration is one that continues to divide lawmakers, adding another layer of complexity to these discussions. On the other side of the aisle, the Biden administration is pushing for more funding for key programs. Among these are the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, known as SNAP, and Social Security. These programs provide critical support to millions of Americans, and their funding is a priority for the administration. However, in the face of a potential shutdown and a divided Congress, securing this funding is no easy task. As we delve into these controversial proposals, it's clear that they reflect the deep-seated differences in our political landscape. Each proposal carries with it a set of potential benefits and drawbacks, and it's these trade-offs that lawmakers must consider as they work towards a resolution. In the face of disagreement and opposition, finding common ground for these proposals becomes paramount. A government shutdown is not just political theater. it has real-world consequences. The potential outcomes of a government shutdown are far-reaching and severe. It doesn't just affect the politicians in Washington. It impacts the lives of everyday Americans and the operations of our nation as a whole. Let's start with the federal employees. In the event of a shutdown, a large number of federal workers would be furloughed. This essentially means they are put on a leave of absence without pay. During the last major shutdown in 2018 to 2019, approximately 800,000 federal employees were furloughed or worked without pay. That's a significant portion of our workforce left in limbo, unsure of when their next paycheck will come. But it's not just the employees that are affected. Government operations and programs are at risk too. During a shutdown, agencies and programs deemed non-essential are often the first to feel the effects. These can range from national parks and museums to scientific research projects, all put on hold. Even services that we might not immediately think of, like the processing of passport applications or certain types of loans, can be delayed. Additionally, a shutdown can have a detrimental impact on our economy. The Congressional Budget Office estimated that the 2018 to 2019 shutdown cost the United States economy $3 billion in lost economic activity, a figure that isn't easily recovered. Moreover, the military, often seen as the backbone of our nation, isn't immune to a shutdown's effects. During past shutdowns, military personnel have had to continue their duties without pay, with the promise of back pay once the government reopens. This places undue stress on service members and their families. In the end, it's not just about the politics. It's about the individuals who serve our country, the services that keep our nation running, and the economy that fuels our way of life. The stakes are high as the shutdown looms, with widespread repercussions for not only the government but for every American citizen. In this game of political chess, what moves can be made to avoid a checkmate? In this complex landscape of political maneuvering, there are several potential solutions and compromises that could be made to avoid a shutdown. Among the key players in this drama is Speaker Kevin McCarthy, who is facing significant challenges within his own party. As a leader, he must find a way to bring his members together and reach a consensus on the funding crisis. This would involve addressing the concerns of his party members and finding common ground. One potential solution could be revisiting the short-term continuing resolution that was previously pulled due to lack of party support. This resolution, which proposed an 8% cut to discretionary spending and increased border protections, could be modified to gain broader support. The negotiation process can also involve discussions with the opposing party, seeking bipartisan support to avoid a shutdown. This might require making compromises on contentious issues such as border protection, military spending, and funding for key programs like SNAP and Social Security. In addition to these, it is also crucial to consider the potential impact of a shutdown on the country's economy and the lives of its citizens. The 2018 to 2019 shutdown, which lasted for 35 days, had a significant impact on GDP growth. This should serve as a reminder of the need for swift and decisive action. The role of Speaker McCarthy in navigating these challenges cannot be underplayed. His ability to lead his party and negotiate with the opposition will be critical in determining the path forward. The challenges he faces from within his party could also define his leadership and potentially reshape the political landscape. As the deadline approaches, the power to avoid a shutdown lies in the hands of our leaders. Will they rise to the challenge or crumble under pressure? Only time will tell.